So let me see, what have I been up to today? Well, I've got roots on African violet cuttings. So let me show you how to do that. So this is the ray button that I've got, and it's on a very low, gentle heat. And this is the, let me move the camera a bit closer now, okay? And you can see what I'm doing. There you go. Right, so this is the, let me first of all show you the parent plant. So that was the parent plant that I've got all these cuttings from. That's the, and it was absolutely beautiful in the summer. It was absolutely full of flowers. Don't forget it's winter time now, okay? And what I do is I take a leaf. I take a leaf from the, or some leaves from the parent plant and put them in a glass jar that I can put water in. So there was water in this glass jar. Just an inch of water, keep it topped up all the time. And it's on a gentle heat. And then I take just vermiculite, or just vermiculite, no soil, and put the, I'll see if I can show you. I'll take this out now. That was just to hold up the plastic bag to keep the moisture in, those two sticks. Right, so this is a pot of vermiculite. Let me get that so that you can see. Oops, dripping a bit. Right, and I just inserted the leaves, but before I did that, I cut down, let's put it where you can see it. Yeah, I cut down the stalk of the leaf. That one's coming off. I'll do that later. So I cut down the stalk with scalpel, very thin blade, and then I inserted them into the damp vermiculite. And how many did I put in there? I think I put 3 or 4 in there, unless that little one there, see that little one? It might be a baby that's come up because I'm sure there's roots on. So when I've done that, I put them inside this, this glass jar. Sure you can find something around like this that you can put a pot inside. Put water in the pot, and then put the plastic bag, put these sticks in to support the plastic bag, and put the plastic bag on top. So let's see what's happened in here. But first of all, I'll just show you some that I've already potted. These have been in. It all takes a few weeks for this to happen, obviously, but this is a good example. That was one leaf, and now you've got the babies sprouting out there. So that's a good plant. These are bigger leaves. They haven't got the babies yet, but you need to sink the stalk right into the soil. These are all in soil. And don't overwater, because it's overwatering that kills everything, really. You're better underwatering. When you underwater a plant, it will tell you, it will drop and flop and droop, and it'll tell you that it needs water. But if you overwater, they just rot and die. So there's another one. So I've got 4 that are already going now. I'm expecting to see some babies coming from these soon. So that is that. So without moving, I'll put these back on the windowsill. So they're just in potting soil now, potting compost. Right, so just move that a tad. Right, and this one's finished with. That's, you just have to just keep potting them up now as they grow. Okay, that's that. Right, I'll put a bit of kitchen towel down. Right, and let me try and get nice and close for you. There, that's better. Right, now I'm fully expecting these to have roots on because they've been in there ages, and I'm very lucky to have a Rayburn that you've just got a very gentle heat. The Rayburn's just on tick over, it's only warm. When I want to use it for anything, I'll just, you know, I'll just turn it up if I want to do something. Right, let's see what we've got here. Yes, I fully expected it. Now, I know it's covered in vermiculite, but let me see if I can get it right close to the camera. But you can see that they are roots, okay? So a nice cluster of roots on there. So they'll all have roots on. So I've got to pot these up now. They're ready for potting. Oh, look at that one. That's huge, man. Oh, that's got a baby growing out of it, look. Already. That didn't have that when I put it in. Oh, that is brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant. Right, what else? What's this one? Yeah, there you go. So, every single one that I put in, I've taken. That leaf is damaged, but it doesn't matter because it'll throw out another one. That's got a nice cluster of roots on it as well. I'll put those in. And that's it, and I can reuse that vermiculite for the next lot. Although I don't really need very many more. What I'll do is, I'll let that plant get a bit nicer, you know what I mean? I cut a lot of leaves. I cut a lot of leaves off that. Yeah, so there you are. And now what I'll do is, just get this out of here a minute. And now what I'll do is, I'll go and get some small pots. They only need to be that size actually. And I'll go and get them from the greenhouse, and and some potting soil. Put that away. And I won't do them straight away because what I do is I let the soil in the pot warm up. You'll shock that plant. If you go and hang on, let me just get this. If I went and got pots from the greenhouse now, freezing cold pots, and freezing cold potting soil, and just potted those up, I guarantee it'll kill them. So what I do is, I'll get out the pots and a bag of compost, potting soil, and I'll put them on the Rayburn for a few hours. They'll be fine like that, and keep them damp. Yeah, and then pot them up. So, I hope that you'll have a go at that. It's dead easy, but I will admit you need something that gives off gentle warmth, gentle heat. You need something warm. I mean, if you've got a low radiator, or if you've got, something like that, it needs the warmth, a gentle warmth for it to work. But if you can figure out a way of doing it, it's a good way of getting free plants, especially these violets. Look at that. That's the cutest thing you've ever seen. Look at that. Babies. I'll go and get the soil.
Good luck if you have a go, by the way.
I have another one of my stories for you today, or tonight. And this time, it's about another inn in the area. It's not far from here, actually. It's an old coaching inn in Philac, near Hale in Cornwall. And it's got a very intriguing story and a very intriguing name. It's called the Bucket of Blood Inn. And the legend that goes along with it is that centuries ago, the landlord went to draw a bucket of water from his well, and instead of water he got a bucket of blood. And of course it was investigated, because you can't have that in your drinking water, so it was investigated, and it was found to be someone down there that had been done away with. And so there was a body down in the well. There were two explanations for who that might be. One of them was the inn was used for smuggling, and one of the explanations was that it was a smuggler who hadn't paid his debts. And another explanation, which is the one that I'm going with, there was a customs and excise man who was staying at the inn, en route to London or somewhere, and he was in the inn one evening, and he overheard some skullduggery going on with the locals, and he knew that there was smuggling happening at that inn. So he threatened to call other excise men to come and, find out who these smugglers were. And he met his demise too. So they had to get rid of him, and so the legend goes that it was he that was put down in the well. The inn dates back to the 13th and 14th century is when it was first built, and it's a really intriguing place, intriguing name. And if you ever get the chance to go, if you're in Cornwall, you ever get the chance to go, you should go, because there's a lot of history and a lot of legend that goes along with that inn. But that's not where the story ends, because in the late 80s, I think it was, I was invited by a psychic medium who worked at the College of Psychic Studies in London, and I was invited to go along on this field trip that they were having. There was a group of psychics, and they were led by someone called Marie Cherry, and she was quite famous in the area for her psychic work. And as I said, she worked at the College of Psychic Studies in London. She investigated hauntings and investigated people that, claimed to be psychic and that kind of thing. And she had a group of psychics with her, and she went on these field trips to different haunted locations in Cornwall, and I was invited to go along. So off we popped to the Bucket of Blood Inn, and the psychics that were with her, they were set a task of locating the well in question that was so famous. So off they popped outside, and they were, drawing little maps and things and diagrams of where the well might be. And so I was sitting inside the pub with Marie, and she said to me, just as an experiment, she said, do you have any feelings about where this well might be? And I said, I do actually, and I know that it's not outside. And she said, how do you know that? I said, I just do, it's not outside. I feel that it's not outside. I feel that it's actually underneath this room that we're sitting in. And she said, how on earth did you know? I said, I just feel it. The well is not outside. It was once outside, but there's been additions, and the inn has been changed over the centuries. We're talking 13th, 14th century that inn has been there. So there'd be a lot of changes, and that was one of them, that it was no longer required, or maybe they got another well because that one was polluted. You wouldn't want to use that well if it'd been polluted, so maybe they built something over it. Maybe it started off as a courtyard that was built over it, or a stable, or because it was a coaching inn, maybe a stable built over, and then over the years the stable turned into part of the pub. Who knows? I just know that it wasn't outside. And so yeah, and she knew that well was not outside, it was inside. So I was quite proud of that I figured that one out. And it was just something that came to me as I was sitting. See, the place is so ancient and it's so atmospheric that you'd have to be, pretty unfeeling to not feel something in that place. You really would. You'd have to be completely oblivious to that kind of thing. And while we're on the subject of that, the pub is haunted by what appears to be a monk, and right next to that inn, right next to it, is the church. And I read somewhere that pubs, inns were always built, this is in Cornwall, I don't know about other places in the UK, in Cornwall, the inn and the church were always built together at the same time to form the village. Because if you think about it, that is the centre of the village, the church and the inn, or the local inn. So maybe the monk that is reputed to have been seen many, many, many occasions, and I didn't see the monk, but it's a common, it's common talk that the pub is haunted, but completely harmless. This monk just wanders around. He's not doing any harm. He's not causing any problems. Or see, when places are so old, there's bound to be a lot of things that have happened, a lot of people that have made a big impression, on that building. It's bound to be over centuries. There's got to be, and it's not beyond the realms of, belief that some of those people could have been very, very attached to that building or that. I've just seen something in the now we're talking about it, you see. But anyway, yeah. But it's not beyond the realms of possibility that there could be something. There could be. There are stranger things have happened than that. And while we're on this, because I saw something then, this cottage is over 200 years old. So there's been a lot of life and possibly a lot of death happened in this cottage. And the original cottage was this room and the room above. It was actually two up, two down, because this room that we're in now was two separate rooms. That's why it's got two fireplaces. There's a fireplace behind me, which was like a snug, which was probably the living room, and the other side of the room where I've got a big fireplace, there was probably a cooking range there, and that was probably the kitchen. And the staircase that's the original door there. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, perhaps not, but the walls are 1.5 feet thick, and you can see it in the doorways because the doorways are set back that far. And so the staircase, you would come in that door there in the old days, and the staircase was in front of you going that way, separating the two rooms. But now the staircase is running up the side. That was changed over the years, but yeah. So that's just in this one building alone. And I'll keep it for another story, because there's some very strange things, nothing to be frightened of, but there's some strange things that have happened. I'll keep that for a separate story, because that is quite interesting too. Well, it's amazing to think of the people that have lived here, and this is not a fraction of this hasn't got a fraction of the age of the inn that I was talking about, not a fraction. I mean, that was really old. So imagine the lives that have impacted that inn. Imagine, for some good, some bad. But there's no doubt about it that inn was the centre of the smuggling ring in this small area. Because right there by the coast, right there, a horse and cart in the dead of night coming up from the beach with the rum and the brandy. Can you imagine? Yeah, I can just see it. I can see it in my mind in the dark of night. And there would only be very small cottages here and there. There wouldn't be like big, clusters of cottages. There'd be the one cottage, and then you can go for miles, and then there'll be another cottage. And that's how it is today. You can drive the coast road that I'm talking about. You can drive that, and you can see a cottage, and then you go for a mile, half a mile, or even further, and another cottage. And so imagine what it was like hundreds of years ago. It would be easy to get a horse and cart full of contraband, it would be easy to get it to the bucket of blood in. So I'll leave you with that. You can have a think about it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.